yeah, again, thank you, Jerome, for the introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank as well, Kath, for the invitation. To be honest, I'm very privileged to be joining this session because back then, when I was still in high school, I didn't. I'd like to think that we didn't have any of these like career talks, like inviting professionals to get to share with you guys, students, what it's like to be in the professional world. So yeah, I feel like I feel very very honored, and I hope you guys also feel very fortunate that you would be having these types of events, and yeah, really take don't take this for granted, and yeah, leverage on these situations. All right, so again, just to briefly introduce myself, you can call me simply Brian. So I think nasabi naman ni Jerome lahat ng credentials ko. So just to share my interests na lang on my personal side. So I like to travel with friends, play video games via Nintendo Switch, and engage in physical activities. All of these while doing my day job as an accountant in PNG. So if you're not quite familiar, PNG is a manufacturing company, a multinational company that operates globally, and we sell different kinds of products, usually home goods like Safeguard or what else? Head and Shoulders. So if you have those products in your at home, then thank you for patronizing our products. Yeah, and then in terms of educational background, I entered UP Diliman in 2012, and then took up BS Business Administration, which is and accountancy, which is a 5-year course. So I graduated in 2017 with a magna cum laude degree. But then before entering college, I was from SSA Lagro, so just a few minutes away from where I live, and I graduated at the top of my class. So yeah, sorry, Kath, how do we manage the questions in case they would be having one? Do they
Sir,
wait until the
the
end?
Q&A will be presented later after you talk,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kath. All right, so I structured my talk in um in 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 a way that would like introduce accounting with you guys first as a student and then as a professional. So I'll start first with accounting or accountancy as a course or a degree in college, and then accountancy as a profession. So what it's like being a student of accounting and being a professional in accounting. And then siguro I'll give a brief or a short like a mythbuster slide on what accounting is not, because I'm pretty sure you guys have um tama ba Kath? All of these students are from ABM strand or yung may ibang hindi?
May iba na rin pong hindi.
Okay. So, yeah,
But
for those in
mostly are ABM.
okay. So, for those in the ABM strand, I'll try to bust some myths or misconceptions about accounting, and then at the same time try to encourage or entice those who are not in the ABM strand to join or at least try accounting in case they are interested on it. And then sa huli, yung different career paths, both existing and prospective, because yeah, it would also be great for you guys to know what you're getting into, and how it might be like in the next few years. So yeah, so first, accounting as a degree. So I'll be giving a bunch of adjectives just so you guys would get a feel of what it's like. So first, accounting as a course or a degree program, I would say is difficult. So difficult in the sense that number one, it's the concepts or topics in accounting are quite intangible, or you don't see any like it's not physical eh. So unlike for example, if in engineering, diba, you would see structures, or if you're a doctor, diba, or you're taking up medicine, you have your labs and everything. But in accounting, you're really working with worksheets, with paperwork, understanding yung nuances ng financials of a company, and so forth. So I see that accounting is difficult because again, it's a mixture of everything. Then, so apart from mathematics, you would mostly take up also some business courses. So in that way, you would have to relate accounting with the different types or with the different branches of business administration, right? And then it's also challenging because when you're an accounting student, the way the program or the course, at least in UP, but I guess that goes the same with the different accounting schools and our business schools. Sorry, may mga different milestones siya. So every year, you would be entering syempre as a freshman or first year, and then every year there's such a thing as a departmental exam or like a cutoff that you have to meet. So I think that's through an exam. So you would have to pass it, and then every year pabawas yung mga accounting students. So mahirap siya kasi even before the boards, which I later talk more about, before the boards, you would already have different sets of challenges or um, like criteria that you have to meet before graduating. That's on top of the curricle of the other subjects that you have. But at the same time, what makes it exciting or unifying is that you know the people that you start with at the beginning of your journey as an accounting student would most likely be the same people you would be graduating with, because say you're from 100 students at the beginning of the program, and then at the end of the program you're just about 70 or 80, diba? You guys are still the same. Sorry, they're still the same set of people that you started with before. Kasi I haven't heard of any transferees yet from a different course, for example, into accounting, kasi mahirap siya eh, kasi yung subjects din and the courses are building. So for example, in your first year, you'll just be taking up basic accounting, and then as you go higher or as you progress into the program, the more complex the topics would be. So yeah, it's challenging, but at the same time, it's fun and parang uniting in a sense. And every time that you would have, exams, you would also get to celebrate with your peers who would eventually become your colleagues. And despite the challenging part, it would also really prepare you to the real world eh. Iba kasi rin yung setting when you're in a school. Diba? When you're in a school, you'll be set with the given facts or naka-lay out na lahat ng mga kailangan mo. It's just up to you to get to the right answer and like that. And you'll be graded up based on that. But then, at the same time, when you're given different challenge, aside from the facts na binibigay sa'yo, it would also help you train yourself how to think through the situation, which I think is a more important skill than accounting in itself in the real profession. So that's where the challenging portion would be, like transitioning from an accounting graduate to a professional, like transforming your skills while holding onto the fundamentals and theories, and be able to like influence or like serve your supposed customers with the different service that you'll be offering. Then accounting is also complex because like I mentioned, it's related to everything in the business. As they say, accounting is the language of business. So whether if you're from marketing or if you're from finance or sales or human resources, as an owner, it would always be important with you what would be the impact of whatever business decision that you're doing to the financials of the company, which is through accounting. And at the same time, accounting isn't just about numbers, which is actually one of my mythbusters later. But if you would see the curriculum, apart from the marketing and other business courses that you would have, you would also have the more technical items, like for example, taxation, advanced accounting, what else? Financial accounting, like regulatory framework for business transactions, which was previously called business law. So that's why it's complex, because parang apart from from the glamorous side of business, trying to earn money, you also have that compliance side, or your compliance side through law or taxation, which also makes actually accounting a good pre-law for those who are thinking of going into law eventually. Then I would say it's also quite fun. So fun in the sense that, um, like I mentioned, apart from being with your peers through thick and thin, and also going through different challenges and then coming out like triumphant at the end of the degree program and then getting your degree and passing the boards together. It's fun kasi it's a whole different world, I would say. So like not everyone knows about accounting. When you talk about debits and credits to a normal person, most likely they wouldn't understand it, diba? They would always care about like how much, but then the other question of like what is the right balance, or how do we go further from the current situation in accounting to the next level. They wouldn't think about it. But then if you're an accounting student and if you have a good accounting background, you would always see situations in a different manner, not just about financials, but also about compliance and other strategic um, things surrounding the business. So yeah, and at the same time, if you get into a good accounting school, definitely it would not just be revolving about the core accounting skills nga. So not to like challenge naman yung ibang schools, but then there are many schools na rin that have like accounting and business side all together. So for example, like in UP Diliman, parang minsan nga half-half eh. So half accounting, you're dealing with the financials, dealing with worksheets, but then half of it also goes with business cases, marketing cases, and even outside competitions. So it's very competitive in there. So yeah, kumbaga you get a holistic knowledge of the business through accounting, and at the same time be able to practice the art of managing a business to the different aspects of it. All right. So next, when you if you are able to gain already your degree in accounting, so the next step would normally be, if you're eligible to take up the boards, you should, I recommend you guys to take the boards if you are eligible to it. So kasi number one, it gives you a sense of pride and also like a validation of the different challenges that you've had. And then second, it you would also be like forced to know yung mga hindi mo pa alam. And at the same time, hold on, may nag-message. Can I speak? Kath, can Jeffrey, or should I proceed? Sige. Jeffrey, I'll proceed muna. I think Kath mentioned earlier that we'll park all of the questions or insights afterwards. But yeah, after that, yun nga, talking about boards, you would normally have right at least or at most siguro 6 months to prepare for the boards. But then if depende naman yan with you, if if you feel you're not ready yet, then you can always defer naman your board examination taking. And at the same time, once you get your license, there's this talks. I'm not sure what the progress is already, pero like a membership pathway agreement between the different countries. I think they're still starting with this within the ASEAN and also with Australia, wherein once you get the license in the Philippines, it would be easier for you to get another if it would be easier for you to get licensed in other countries. You just have to take up, I think, less courses than the usual route. Mhm. Okay, then once you gain your license, or actually even you don't have any license, you can always practice accounting. Right now, I don't have the chart, but I'm not sure if Kath would be sending the slides, but I can attach it into my slides afterwards. But then the recent progress in accounting is that they've opened up different courses that are not really geared towards the board exam. So, for example, if you have um, from what I remember, like they have accounting technician courses already in some schools, or management accounting, which is basically like a subset of the whole accounting program. So I think that's catered towards those who don't really want to be bombarded with bookkeeping or with other courses or other subjects that are in the previous accounting curriculum, and really just want to be more focused on what they really want to do, which is maybe they're more inclined to IT, or they're more inclined to simply like the finance part, or management accounting. But in general, I would say accounting is boring. So boring in the sense that we're quite invisible. So accountants are like the unsung heroes of the business. So I'm not sure if you've been following yung news lately, but I think it was months ago. But then parang may isang airline local airline that offered like free tickets yata to CPAs, because yun nga they've been like the unsung heroes now during the pandemic, because as businesses are closing down, or like demand is dropping, and different shops are having a hard time dealing with lower demand and like keeping up with their expenses. The CPAs are there to like try to read in everything, make the right decisions, provide um, like sound decisions to the management so that they can keep afloat despite the pandemic. So yeah, it's boring in that sense that you're like the unsung hero of the company, and it's a thankless job, I would say, because apart from you dealing with the financials, reading financials day in day out, monitoring if like nag-increase pa yung sales, or you're overshooting already your budget. So at the same time, there's also routine to it, diba? So every month you would have to be, reviewing yun nga, yung financials, and madalas you just be talking with people within the company. Unlike say in sales, for example, you're trying to deal with customers, or in ano ba, in procurement, you work with different suppliers. So yeah, so I would say it's a pretty boring job, and it's a pretty but then at the same time it's a stable career. But also accounting is prevalent. So prevalent in a sense that it's everything. So you may not see it, but then everyone would need an accounting service one way or another. Whether you're individual doing like pro bono, sorry, not pro bono work, like being self-employed, or like delivering a specific service, whether you're say an engineer or an interior designer, you're not part of a big conglomerate, diba? You would still have to file taxes, and accountants are there to help you file your taxes. Or for example, if you have a business, like a physical shop, for example, you would still have to file taxes, and at the same time, you would have to maintain a system of recording your sales, and controlling yung budget, and the financials. So that's where accounting um, is really becoming is prevalent. It's ubiquitous. So it's everywhere. You just don't feel it, I would say. Unlike the other career paths. So because you don't build the structure, you don't build the building, you don't heal people, or you don't like win cases, but then you make sure that everything is all right, and all of the things are intact, or are in place. At the same time, accounting is also important. So it's important, um, siguro first, like legal-wise or compliance-wise, accountants are the best people to ask, especially when you're having troubles with your finances, because they would also probably know what would be your different options when you're dealing with this specific dilemma. And also that's why also I mentioned nga na it's a good pre-law, because you've got the courses with accounting, with taxation rather, with business law, diba? So when you take up like yung actual law school, when you go into the actual law school, you would just be adding basically more subjects or more knowledge than what you have already gained in the accounting course. And it's also diverse. So diverse in a sense that it's connected to all aspects of a business, and it's lastly ever evolving because before, when siguro brief history, diba, when accounting was way back, diba, they're just basically recording or bookkeeping, or double entry accounting, like debits and credits. And most likely the businesses that they would be just record keeping would be yung mga manufacturing or trade or distribution, diba, yung or retail. So those that would actually have like physical stuff to sell. But then now, as we're moving to the information era or the fully digital era, you have different aspects na that until now in the accounting space, there's still a lot of gray areas or question about it. So, for example, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, diba? How do you account for those? It's money, so definitely it has to be accounted for. But then, how do you present it to in the financial statements, or how do you tax those transactions that there isn't really any underlying value except for the promise of a return, diba? Or for example, insurance. So if um well, you're probably not familiar with the whole concept of insurance, but then there are different schemes na within the insurance industry that are bordering na hindi na talaga siya like insurance per se, but sometimes they're also offering investment opportunities. So how do you account for those, diba? Or even actually in the banking world, which I think is also a good career prospect for as an accountant. People are moving very quickly now in the banking space because of the different tools and technologies that they have been implementing. And at the same time, accounting should be able to keep up into those developments, because as money or the velocity of money increases in economics, diba? So definitely accounting should also still keep up with those. Okay, so some myth busters, I would say. So I would first is accounting is not an easy way to get rich. So that's number one. You're in the joke na in accounting is that you're counting money, but then it's not yours. So you're counting else. You're counting someone else's money, because that's what we do, diba? We protect the wealth of those who already have money, but then at the same time we get paid for it. If you want to get rich easily, I would say go somewhere else that would really help you sell something. Say if you want to sell soap, or if you want to sell shampoo, diba? So that's an easier way to get rich. But then at the same time, accounting is really a very stable job. So you don't have to like go to different stores, or you don't have to go outside. So that's why I also like it, because I don't want to be like roaming around the city, trying to sell things. So yeah, accounting is really not an easy way to get rich, but it's a stable way for you to build wealth, I would say. Um, Accounting or accountancy is also not for those only who excel. Sorry, it's not only for those who excel in math. So, di ba, when probably you'll still be hearing this, but they'll see na oh, magaling ka sa maths, parang might be a good option for you is accounting. Or if you're an accounting student, they would assume that you're good in math, but in fact, yes, you're good in math, but only in the arithmetic part. But then yung mga algebra and everything, probably may mga students pa rin na hindi sila nag-excel doon. Kasi in accounting, you use calculator, you use Excel. So you already have those tools helping you to arrive at the numbers, or to manipulate or handle yung financials. So you don't need to be excellent in math per se. When you want to become an accounting student, or when you want to become an accountant, you just have to know. You just have to be able to recognize patterns. That's what's more important in accounting, which is probably those who excel in math would also be good in accounting because they can easily recognize patterns. So like if X moves, then Y moves, or if this is up, then this should go down. They can easily identify relationships. So or yung impact or effect ng one variable into another. That's why probably those who are good in math is also good in accounting, or vice versa. But then it's not exclusively reading. There's always an aspect in accounting that you can always use different tools for you to be able to excel in accounting, apart from your brain. Accounting is also not just simply plus or minus. So hold on, I'll just drink water. So yeah, accounting is not just simply plus or minus. There's also part wherein you would have to recognize patterns like I mentioned nga, or sometimes identify what would be the potential impact of a certain action. So it's a science in a sense that you'll always arrive at a certain number, and whether it's right or not, it has to be like validated. It can be validated by someone else, but then at the same time, you would also need some like logic, or critical analysis, for you to excel in accounting. Also, accounting is not for those who do not go into details or who dislike being very organized or detail oriented. So it would be hard for you to excel in the field of accounting if hindi ka maayos with things. Because if in a business everything is in chaos, CEO probably looking around, yung sales mo may pinapromise na target, or yung HR, 'di ba? They're having hard time getting the right people, or yung mga different facets of a business. The the accountant, or at least the CFO in a company, should be the like most reasonable or most sound in the business, because they would be providing recommendations to the management. So if you're not organized, and you can easily be distracted, then it would be difficult for you to make right decisions for the company. And at the same time, siguro reading into the more practical side, 'di ba? If kalat yung pera mo, or parang hindi mo na-record ng maayos, 'di ba? Or parang you said one thing in day one, and then you wrote down yung number, and then on day two iba naman yung na-record mo, and hindi siya tugma, 'di ba? How can people trust you to be their accountant? You want people you want to trust your accountant to be organized and very detail oriented, and so they can easily come back to you in case you have questions, or you would want to know more about what's happening with your business through the financials. And lastly, accounting is not just about numbers. So it's about recognizing patterns, identifying strategies for you to be able to reach a certain target as an accountant. So that is going beyond being an accountant, but at the same time, you don't want to be stuck with crunching numbers lang. So when you give numbers, you have to communicate it well to your managers, or to the business owner, or to whoever customer you're trying to deal with. So so they would understand, diba, what's happening with their money. So it's not just like about, okay, here's the financials, then it's up to you how to interpret it. That's not the case. In accounting, you have a different terminologies, you have different language as well, but then you have to translate the accounting language a into a language that would be understood rather by whoever you're talking with. So yeah, but then if you want to be an accountant, that's really just like head down doing bookkeeping, that's fine. But then to become a true successful accountant, like at least for me, you have to also be able to communicate what the numbers is telling you to your customers, so that they would also be aware if like they're losing money, or they're they haven't paid any taxes yet, diba? So yeah, that's also one of the roles of the accountant. Being the steward of the business or your client or customer. All right. So then last portion. So just to give you a glimpse of the accounting profession currently. So you can go into different types of services when you graduate and you have already your license. No. So you have yung accounting, which is basically yun nga, yung bookkeeping. So day in day out, you'll be recording transactions based on what's happening in the business, and also like putting them in the right accounts and then preparing the financial statements. Or you can go into audit. So in audit, particularly financial audit is basically like compliance activity for majority of the companies. They would have to file, especially yung mga public companies, they would have to file financial statements to the SEC, so that they remain compliant and they can be regulated. But then if meron din namang they do audit for forensics purposes, or they're trying to identify a specific error or fraud, di ba? So you can also go into audit. But then in the current space within the Philippines, I think the audit industry is also evolving kasi they're also extending to IT audit or digital audit or operational audit or compliance audit. So you can always stretch yourself in those fields. But then I would say with the accounting background, financial audit is a good start because you'd also need eventually some operational knowledge or industry knowledge for you to be able to perform audits well in different forms. Then you also have tax. So I think tax is the most specialized field in accounting because no one understands taxation aside from accountants. So iba kasi yung tax eh. So you would also have to understand yung intent. Apart from the computational side, you would need to understand the intent, the value or the spirit of the tax law, or also understand yung whole business transaction and which category of taxation would that fall into. So I think so I think tax is a very specialized field that accountants would be able to really excel at, and should excel at rather. Yeah. And just to share with you, a lot of people or a lot of board exam takers in the CPA licensure examination, they really have a hard time with taxation, even myself. So kasi nga, it's a different field. So apart from the fact that you'll be crunching numbers, you would also need to understand yun nga, yung essence of transaction, and also be reminded of the different statutories or laws in place for you to be able to apply that in the in that transaction that you're dealing with. Next, then you also have advisory. So advisory or consulting in other language. So basically providing consulting work or advisory work to different clients, whether it's financial advisory, whether a specific company is would be sellable, or if you're buying it at the right price, or for example, if you want to transform or change a specific process, diba? So you would usually engage an accountant or an accounting firm rather through for their advisory services. Compliance. So this is basically in relation to everything I said before nga, on accounting, tax, audit, diba? All of those are somehow they somehow have compliance aspects. So compliance with the SEC or TTI or whatever um, regulatory body is applicable to your company or industry. And at the same time for tax, diba? You don't want to be avoiding your tax and eventually being held liable and with interest and penalties, diba? So that would be more costly than if you had been compliant in the first place. IT or digital audit. So this is where I think accounting is starting to stretch out. So with with the different tools or technologies growing or evolving, somehow the lines between accounting and IT are sometimes blurred. So in my day job, actually, there had been times wherein I would be tinkering around some software or trying to recommend like IT solutions to some of our to some of our developers, because that would definitely help me in my accounting job. So yeah, as yun nga, as transactions are becoming more complex, or industries are becoming more complex, the support infrastructure should also evolve. That's why IT is also should also be evolving in relation to accounting. So just imagine, no, if you don't have any accounting system that would track yung mga online sales mo through your Shopee or Lazada apps, diba? It would be very, very difficult. Um, or or for example, if you have a very complex company, or you're a part of a multinational company wherein you have different, the offices are sitting on different places, diba? And then you would, if you need to pull up data, do you have to like contact each and every office, or if or is there already like an enterprise resource planning tool that can easily pull in all of the data? Then lastly, you can always teach in or be involved with the academy. So accounting in the academy space is also um, it's also a good option. So in our batch, personal anecdote, in my batch, I think um, like 10% of my fellow graduates are now involved in the academe setting. So some of them would have their day jobs. So some of them are in firms, and then they're doing sideline teaching. But then if you're in the academe and you'll be in an accounting school, you would usually do research as well, apart from actually teaching yung mga students. So, oops. Oh, okay. I think that's all for Mika. So I'm now opening
Thank you,
the
Mr.
floor.
Domingo, for that meaningful talk. Personally, I found your perspectives of accounting as a student, as a career, very interesting. And also, accounting as a profession, in specialization in accountancy. I've always been interested about how it feels to have accountancy as a career. Your sharing was very insightful, and we appreciate the time you took to share your knowledge with us. Before we end today's interaction, I would like to open the floor for any questions that you may have for our speaker. Please feel free to send them through the chat box or via private message.
Sorry, I think Jeffrey had a question earlier, no, in the chat. Should we read it?
Yes, boss, Sir Richard.
Hi, Mr. Domingo. Good afternoon. Would you like to share to the student what are the greatest challenges that you had so far in the profession,
In the
and how do
profession.
you overcome?
Yes, thank you, sir, for the question. Our greatest challenge, I would say, yun nga, being able to communicate what the numbers will tell you. Because, well, at least in my job, diba, I'm also like, well, I'm a manager, so I also talk to the business owners. So um being able to communicate what the numbers would tell you, and providing recommendations on how you would like turn around whatever the performances of the company. So yun nga, Jeffrey in the chat told us about like adding some prices. So it could be one of the recommendations, trying to say that, oh, we need to bump our price because the cost of our raw materials or of our services are rising, or in general inflation is increasing, diba? So adjusting that. or for example, say that um, can we trim down the size of the company because overhead or the total expense of the company is not appropriate already with the overall demand, diba? So I think that's one of the greatest challenge that that I have encountered, and just being very open, and just know that whatever you're saying is also being believed by the management. They actually hear the truth from you because you're actually also the truth teller in the company. Kasi nga, if you're after all, if you're looking at the money, or you're following the money and also trying to communicate any recommendations or what you want to improve in the company, then I think that's the power also that you have as an accountant. So that's my greatest challenge, I would say. Uh,
Thank you, Mr. Domingo. I believe now we're just not only a storyteller,
yes,
but I think the more that we give recommendations, we are becoming a strategist to the company. And I think
yes,
that's one of the assets in the organization. Thank you, Mr. Domingo.
yes, sure. Yeah,
Thank you,
definitely.
Sir
Yun nga,
Richard.
sorry, if I may add lang, no. So yun, baka kasi well, definitely as a student, no, you'll be enclosed with the fact um what on what the facts would tell you in an exam, diba? You would only have worksheets. But then if you go into the real world, definitely people, your fellow classmates in the other stands wouldn't care about what you guys are doing, and they would just be asking you guys about um on what you would recommend as an accountant because they trust that you guys would know better than them.
Thank you po. I have a question po. What motivated you po to pursue accountancy?
Oh no, very hard question. First of all, I wanted to get rich. That's why yun yung isa kong misconception nga nilagay. It's not an easy way to get rich. But kidding aside, I think what ba? Well, heavily influenced by my mom because she used to be an accounting graduate. Well, she was an accounting graduate, but then she didn't pass the boards. Then yeah, so I just like thought that maybe it would be a good opportunity for me as well. And yeah, and even before kasi in high school, I excelled in economics. So my first course actually in UP was BS Economics. But then I was very interested as well with the world of accounting, and turns out well naman. And I feel like I can still use my accounting background in the space of economics, for example, or in math, diba?
Thank you po. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Shania?
Hello po, good afternoon.
Hello.
I just wanna ask po kung for you po, what is the best part of your job or ng pagiging accountant? Since kanina question po is what is the biggest challenge? And since nasa options ko din po yung accountancy, parang ano naman po yung best part of being an accountant?
Mhm. Yep, best part of being an accountant is yun nga, siguro in relation din to what I said earlier nga, no, na yung biggest challenge is communicating to your fellow, say, business owners or whoever your client would be. Best part is yun nga, parang you know very much about what you're saying. So parang kumbaga knowledge is power. Eh. Yun yung, well, at least that's what I see with accounting. You know, accounting is a very specialized course then, I would say, because yun nga, you would have different terminologies that people don't normally use in their day-to-day lives, diba? Mga accruals, ganyan, or especially in taxation. So people come to you really with an open mind, or when people come to you, they really expect that you would be helping them. So when you like provide your service or your recommendation or whatever you're trying to deliver, whatever you're trying to offer, um and then people get a sense of relief, diba? So I think that's the best part. People really do trust you, and you're only you should probably one of the few people that they should trust the most as their accountant. Yeah. So very ano rin siya, very daunting kasi yun nga parang you're handling money of other people, but then at the same time you the trust that they give you is I would say priceless because yun nga it's intangible eh. So my field in accounting, so it's really more on bookkeeping, accounting. So I'm not involved in audit or tax. Although I work closely with tax people. So yun nga, I'm more in the bookkeeping side. So that's why I mentioned yung IT portion. So that's where I'm heavily involved in currently. So accounting and IT.
Thanks, sir. Thank you po. Any more questions, guys?
Okay,
Just
sure.
focus.
Can the accounting world be bad for your mental health?
Sorry.
Interesting topic. I think that goes with every field naman, any career track. So like mental health naman it's a I would say it's a sensitive topic na rin. Pero at least in accounting, definitely you would need to have strong mental health for you to be able to excel. But then but that goes I guess for all types of jobs or all types of fields. Mhm. You just have to be I guess organized nga, and at the same time be clear on what you say, also being consistent, also having discipline, di ba? And then everything will fall into place. And then, mga mental health issues or concerns, that's not very exclusive with accounting industry.
All right, sir. Thank you po. Siguro we can end with Sir Richard po. Sir Richard, do you have a question po?
There's none, hindi ko lang mababa.
Okay, sir. Sorry.
Sorry.
All right. Thank you po. All right. To express our gratitude to our guest speaker, may I call on Miss Kathleen Alcayaga for the awarding of certificate as a token of our appreciation.
Okay, so on behalf of the College of St. Anthony, we thank you, Mr. Bryan Domingo, for the effort you took in this career orientation webinar. Furthermore, allow me to read the contents of your certificate of appreciation. So College of St. Anthony Higher Education Department. This certificate of appreciation is given to Bryan G. Domingo for serving as a resource speaker on the topic on the lookout for capable and skilled accountants. Is accountancy the right field for you? Held on May 15, 2023 at the College of St. Anthony, City of San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. Signed by Mrs. Victoria A. Coralejo, School Director.
Thank you.
Thank you po, Mr. Domingo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kath. Before we part ways, may I call on Yuel Mamiit, a second-year BS Accountancy student of CSA, for the closing prayer.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of the Lord. Altogether, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, we started this meeting with you, and we are closing it with you. Thank you for making this meeting a success. We would not have done it without you, because many of our plans, but it is you who establishes them. May the things we have learned today stir our hearts, and may we put them into action. Amen. Saint Anthony Mary Claret, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Yuel, for that prayer. Before we formally end this meeting, may I request everyone to please keep their cameras on as we will have a photo op.
Okay, so ako na lang po magte-take ng picture. So, look on the screen. Isang frame lang naman tayo. Okay? So, ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Isa pa po. Waki naman daw. Waki. Okay. So, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile po. Okay, so that's it. You may turn off their camera. Charles, back to you.
All right. Thanks, guys. And as our program comes to a close, let us all remember the valuable lessons. The valuable lessons we learned today. Again, I am Alan Charles Gulinao, and on behalf of everyone involved, thank you for attending this career talk. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.